There was a time before him, before his name was carved into the ice, before his wings cast their long and elegant shadows over the peaks of Tarkir. That time has been forgotten, erased by his will and the will of those who worship him. If the past remains, it does so only in whispers, in the hush of wind through frozen corridors, in the brittle parchment of hidden texts that are better left unread. Ojutai, they call him, the great teacher, the soul of winter. Names bestowed, names taken, names earned. He wears them like a mantle, a shield, a crown. He is not like the others, his kind, his kin, those scaled and brute things that crack the sky open with their roars. No, Ojutai is different. He is something more refined, more deliberate. His wings are feathered, his breath is ice, his eyes are deep wells of knowing, or so they say. Once he was merely one among many, his brood spawned from the tempests of Ugin, their progenitor. They came into this world fully formed, sliding from the storm like thoughts coalescing from the mind of a god, and they were drawn, as all things are, to the places that suited them best. For Ojutai and his kin, it was the peaks, the cold, the clarity, the solitude, and there they watched, and there they waited. But this was not a world without others, without struggle. There were the humanoids, the ones who built and fought, who lived in the shadow of the dragons, and yet still dared to name themselves lords of the land. Among them the Jeskai, clever, quick tricksters of the mind and body alike. They saw the dragons for what they were, a challenge, a test, an opponent in a game of wit and survival. And so they revered Ojutai and his kind, even as they fought against them, even as they sought to prove themselves in a battle that was never truly theirs to win. But things changed. They always do. The world is not kind to those who stand still. Ugin fell, and the winds that had once carried Ojutai's brood across the sky turned against them. The Jeskai endured. The dragons did not. One by one they faded, disappeared, were felled by hands too small and fragile to be worthy of such a victory. Ojutai did not become an elder. Ojutai did not live. That is one story, but there is another. In this other story, Ojutai is not the vanquished, but the victor. The winds shift, but they do so in his favor. The Jeskai do not triumph, they kneel. There is a moment, a choice, a turning of time back upon itself. And when it settles, it is Ojutai who stands at the summit looking down. He is no longer merely a dragon, he is a ruler. He is the beginning and the end, the past and the future. And history, as all rulers know, is not a thing that simply exists. It is a thing that is made, so he remakes it. The Jeskai's records are rewritten. The old ways are burned away, scattered like ash on the wind. The story is his now. It is his breath that gives it form, his will that determines what is remembered and what is lost. The Jeskai become something new, Clan Ojutai, their name a tribute, a surrender, a promise. The past, the one where they stood as equals, is gone. There is only the present, only the truth as he dictates it. And the truth is this: Ojutai is wisdom. Ojutai is enlightenment. To follow his path is to walk the only road worth walking. His teachings are sacred. His laws are immutable. To question is heresy. To seek what came before is to invite oblivion. The scholars and the warriors of his clan climb their ranks in parallel, one through strength of body, the other through strength of mind. Each seeks to embody his ideals. Each hopes that through devotion they may one day rise beyond their mortal flesh, may one day be reborn as something greater, something purer, something like him. It is a rigid order. It is a perfect one, and yet even in perfection there are cracks. Narset is one such crack. Narset, the student, the seeker, the one who listens too closely and looks too deeply. Ojutai should destroy her. He has destroyed others for less, and yet he does not. He watches her, he allows her, he indulges her curiosity in a way that would be unthinkable for another. Perhaps he sees himself in her. Perhaps he wonders what it would be like to live without the weight of certainty. Perhaps he simply enjoys the game, the quiet rebellion, the knowledge that she will never truly escape him, that every revelation she uncovers is one he has allowed her to find. And then the invasion, the thing that comes not from within, but from beyond. The Phyrexians, metal, corruption, hunger incarnate, they descend upon Tarkir like a sickness, and suddenly the divisions that once seemed immutable become irrelevant. Ojutai, for all his power, for all his knowledge, cannot stand alone. None of them can. And so comes the unlikeliest of alliances. Zurgo, the outcast, the warrior who has spent his life beneath the heel of dragons, sees what others do not. This is not a war of dominance, not a struggle of pride. This is survival, and survival requires unity. It is Zurgo who comes to Ojutai, not in defiance, not in challenge, but in appeal. Let us stand together, he says. Let us fight as one. And Ojutai, who has spent lifetimes shaping the world in his image, who has bent history to his will, who has torn down and rebuilt empires on the strength of his word, Ojutai listens. He listens and he agrees, and just like that, the world changes again. Because if there is one thing Ojutai understands, it is this: the past is nothing but a story, and the future is his to write.